Alright guys, Teddy Striker here, and today I want to talk about Khamzat Chimaev. Because although he's probably going to be next for the title shot, or he could be a one win away from getting a title shot, I feel like he's not like the same fighter as he once was. Like, he first came into the UFC, he beat two journeymans back to back, like it was on 10 days. One fight was on 1 week on Wednesday, and then the following week on Saturday he fought the other dude, so it was on 10 days, and he was at one point scheduled to fight Gerald Mearshart on one fight, and then Damian Maia. Like, the UFC were about to book both of those fights at the same time, basically setting up Khamzat to beat Gerald Mearshart and then fight Damian Maia, which is something that would have never been done before in the UFC, but for some reason I can't remember why, but it didn't take place. And then he ended up getting COVID. And I think that could play a part as to why he's so different. Because it was really bad. Like, he was getting really sick, and the problem was he was still training very hard, even though he had COVID, which his symptoms were really bad. And I remember he even retired at one point due to that. And he couldn't train. He wasn't happy anymore. He was like, nah, I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. I remember he made a post and everything, but yeah. He ended up getting better. Then he fought Li Jingliang in Abu Dhabi. And after that fight, the UFC just pushed him straight to a Gilbert Burns fight. And I feel like that's part of the problem as well. They pushed him a bit too fast. He was beating these guys, these lower rated guys, and finishing them. But when you put him up against a top contender like Gilbert Burns, then you're going to start to see how good he really is. But the thing is, the problem with putting him in there with a contender is, if he loses, he looks like he was just hype train. If he wins, now he's going to have to stay at that level. And it's going to be tough to make adjustments at that level. So I feel like part of the problem was that the UFC pushed him too fast. He didn't get to really develop his skills as much. Because now he's at the top. He's in his prime. There's not as much room for improvement as there was if you would just take on contenders. Kind of like how Shafkat's doing it. And another reason why I think he's not the same is because of his activity. He fought Kevin Holland, and then he took 13 months to get back in the cage. And obviously there's some speculations out there. I've heard a rumor from one of you guys actually that told me a while ago on one of my videos that apparently over there in Russia, certain fighters in UFC are training the Akhmat forces who work for Kadyrov. And those Akhmat forces are basically going to war with people in Ukraine, and the United States actually funds Ukraine. So apparently, due to political reasons, that's why Khamzat can't fight in the US. And it kind of makes sense, because it's why would he not fight? He's been calling people out. He could have fought Paulo Costa. He could have fought Colby Covington, which is very odd, because Colby said that Khamzat didn't accept the fight. I don't believe Colby, but Khamzat said he swore on the Quran that he accepted that fight, but it didn't happen. And I'm if Colby really did decline that fight, then why would the UFC push him to a title shot? That doesn't make sense. In my opinion, they both said no to that fight, or that fight was never offered. But yeah, and he said he's been saying yes to other fighters, and they've been saying no, which I also don't agree with. I don't believe that's true. I feel like the thing about him not being able to fight in the US due to political reasons are actually true, and that's why he can't fight in the US. But ultimately, I think the reason why he's not the same as he used to is just that leap in competition. I mean, you go from fighting Li Jingliang, who's currently unranked, to fighting Gilbert Burns, one of the best welterweights currently, and then you go and you fight Kamaru Usman, the former number one pound for pound. I think it was just, you should have built him up a bit more, they're doing with Shafkat Rakhmonov. Shafkat looks like a world beater right now, and he's still finishing everybody. Khamzat is undefeated, but he's not looking as dominant as he used to. And I feel like the UFC should have jumped the gun and put him straight to the top of the division right away.